and went elsewhere. The children were given their rations and put on trains, and for many of them, it was a truly life-changing experience. Malcolm Robertson reports.
For millions of youngsters, it was a journey into the unknown, leaving behind their families and the cities and being sent, hopefully, to safety as the Second World War began. Thousands of evacuees came to our region, the majority from London. 70 years on, that historic event was remembered at a special service in St Paul's Cathedral today. A chance for former evacuees, many now in their 70s and 80s, to share their experiences. Some of those were unpleasant, but for Ron Gooch, sent from Lowestoft to Derbyshire, it was a bit like a holiday.
She had a lovely cook. She used to make bread twice a week. And I used to call that lovely, make you drool thinking about it.
Reg Farrow travelled no further than from Ipswich to the village of Bacton in the Suffolk countryside. Today he helps look after the Clifford Road Air Raid Shelter Museum in Ipswich, filled with all types of reminders of the wartime years. The gas masks, photographs of very young children setting off, the jigsaw minus the pieces that fell into the fire as an air raid siren disturbed Reg while he was putting it together.
I can remember the second day of war on the 4th of September. The siren went about 8 o'clock in the morning. There was my mum, my brother and our canary. We went into our next door neighbours and we sat under her table with her daughter for 2.5 hours until the all clear went, because we just didn't know what was going to happen.
In Bedford, they've held a reunion for evacuees every 10 years since 1979. Today, Sally Beecham recalled her experience of having to move away from her home in South London, not knowing when she might return.
It just seemed to me that we were going away on a sort of holiday, and that may seem very shallow, but of course, going home for holidays, we did experience some of the dangers, and we're even more appreciative of being able to be here in safety in the homes of the kind people who took us in.
So many memories, so much to catch up on. Alan Locke, for instance, was one who definitely landed on his feet.
I was billeted on a butcher, and my billet lady's sister ran a dairy. So when we had the ordinary rations, but we always had a little bit extra. And compared to my parents left in London, living on just ordinary rations and being blitzed, I had it very good.
The brown paper labels that identified them as wartime evacuees were laid out neatly on a table. Who knows whether there'll be another reunion in 10 years' time.
The country meant more to kids because we were involved in the war in many ways, and can't help comparing it with today and feeling that it was really another country then, and I know it's odd to say there's a slightly better country.
A country that today came together to remember very significant days in British history. Malcolm Robertson, Anglia News.
And we'll have more of those important 70th anniversary wartime reflections later on during this week. Well, thanks for watching Anglia tonight. Do stay with us this Tuesday evening.
Yes, because here's what's still to come. Some more news now from closer to home, and detectives in Norfolk have launched a fresh attempt to solve the case of a missing boy from 40 years ago. 11-year-old Stephen Ewing disappeared in 1969 after playing outside his home in Fakenham. He was never found. In 1993, his mother opened a hostel in the town in memory of her son. Now Norfolk Police's cold case team are re-examining his disappearance.
The case has been kept open all that time, but it's just an opportunity really to ask people if they have information that for whatever reason they didn't come forward in the last 40 years. Maybe they suspected somebody, maybe they know something. Now we'd ask is that time, could you please come forward and tell us what you know?
Police are continuing to investigate a murder in Harlow in Essex following the death of a 43-year-old man. Police were called to Longley at 11 o'clock on Sunday night. A 55-year-old woman from Harlow has been arrested on suspicion of murder.
Now, in the past, it's been labelled Britain's worst road. So today, a team of congestion-busting patrols took to the A12 in Essex.
The idea is that the officers will be dedicated to reaching and dealing with traffic incidents quickly.
The scheme's the first in the country to be operated by the police, but funded by the local council. Lorna Ramsey reports.
When you're patrolling what's been named as the worst road in the country, you need to be prepared. But today, a scheme has been launched at Boreham near Chelmsford that hopes to change the A12's reputation. Essex County Council is paying for 18 police officers to patrol the Essex stretch of the road. to cut down on congestion and the time it takes to clear up accidents.
It's been identified as one of the worst performing roads in the country. The patrols are going into operation as from today, and we believe will have an immediate impact on the performance of the road.
Anyone that was affected by this will remember it well. There was travel chaos after a van carrying gas cylinders caught fire. It caused the closure of the A12 between 8 Ash Green and Marks Tay in both directions for 24 hours. And it's delays like this the patrols will be targeting.
Well, the A12 is a very, very busy road, and the number of vehicles that use it probably exceed its capacity. The problems we have is if there is an accident which closes the road, it can take a while to reopen it. And part of this initiative will be to try and get officers there sooner and get the road open as soon as we possibly can.
Last year, the County Council carried out an inquiry on the A12, and these extra police officers were one of the recommendations. From now on, patrols like this will take place daily between 6 o'clock in the morning and midnight. It's all funded by Essex County Council. It's spending £1.5 million on this project over 2 years. But the police won't just be targeting congestion. They're also looking out for bad driving. So if you see this sign, you know you're being watched. Lorna Ramsey, Anglia News, on the A12 at Stanway.
Well, football now, and the deadline day transfer news is coming up. But first, the bank holiday weekend action. And both Ipswich and Peterborough go into the international break, still waiting for their first win in the Championship.
But the Norwich revival in League One continues under new boss there, Paul Lambert. Donovan Blake has more.
This is new territory for Peterborough manager Darren Ferguson. Before this season, his team had never gone more than 3 league games without winning. But this current run has now stretched to 5, despite taking a second-half lead over Crystal Palace through Sean Batt. But Posh couldn't build on that, with former Ipswich and Norwich striker Alan Lee bundling home Palace's equaliser. But at least they're out of the bottom 3 after that 1-1 draw. That was the same scoreline for Ipswich 2 days earlier, although they're now next to bottom in the Championship. A point won against Preston, thanks to Jonathan Walters' second goal of the season. Colchester's new manager could be unveiled as early as tomorrow. The U's, meanwhile, have suffered back-to-back defeats in League One. Kevin Lisby's 4th of the campaign, not enough to stop Leeds winning 2-1, their 7th straight victory in all competitions. Southend's unbeaten league run has ended. A bad day at Swindon, with Jean-Francois Christophe picking up a second yellow card, apparently for feigning injury. Damien Scannell grabbed their consolation in a 2-1 defeat. But Norwich's season is starting to pick up. A goal in each half at Hartlepool, a spectacular first from Michael Nelson, securing a 2-0 win. Back-to-back victories for Paul Lambert, rounded off by Stephen Hughes. Donovan Blake, Anglia News.
Meanwhile, the road to Wembley starts for both Colchester and Norwich tonight in the Johnston's Paint Trophy. Colchester visit Gillingham and Norwich host Brentford as they bid to succeed Luton as cup winners.
Right, when you think of Norfolk's rich heritage and culture, you may think of historical buildings like Norwich Cathedral. You may not associate it, however, though, with the Gallopers or a roller coaster, but it was at Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach that the region's Heritage Open Day was launched today. The national event gives free access to places and activities that are usually closed or would charge. The roller coaster was built in 1932 and is one of only 8 in the world.
The Pleasure Beach is actually celebrating its centenary, so it's history in itself, and the Gallopers and the roller coaster here are relatively unique rides as well. The roller coaster is the last of its kind left in the country.
So if you fancy a free ride on the roller coaster and the Gallopers, well, the event runs for 3 days, and it's from Thursday the 10th of September to Sunday the 13th.